What's up YouTube? Jeremiah Hersey here, and welcome back to the next episode in my Power App series. Today we're going to start building out one of our first tables that's going to be used inside of a Canvas app to do a new hire survey. So one of the biggest things with onboarding is making sure that we have the information relating to what we went through as a new hire. And so did you find the process difficult? Was it too long or too short? Did you feel like you got all the information? Things of those nature. And so as we begin to track our onboarding process, the success of our onboarding process is what we're looking to track. And not only that, but how well we did it. Because if people felt like they would recommend us to one of their friends to hire on, that means that we did a good job. If they wouldn't really recommend us to hire their friends, then we probably should think about how we can change our onboarding process. So today we're just going to focus on the table that we're going to build. We're going to do everything in Dataverse, and then we're going to build a Power App, a Canvas app on top of that in the next episode. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we are at make.powerapps.com. And so one of the first things that we always do is we want to make sure that we're in the correct environment here. So I'm in my personal environment. If you're building this for your company, you want to make sure you're in the development environment. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the left-hand side. We're going to go to our solution. So the solution that we created last time in the previous video. And so that's our business onboarding solution. So there it is right there. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And so as we navigate into this solution, we're going to see that nothing is currently built. We don't have any tables or apps or anything like that. So we're going to create a new table. And once again, we're going to be using Dataverse for everything in this series just to kind of keep it all together. But you can use other sources as well. So to start off, to make a table, we're going to go up here to New at the top of the screen, and we're going to select a table. Now this is where you can choose whether you want to use a table from external data or you can build a Dataverse table. In this case, we're going to be building the Dataverse table, so go ahead and select that table option right there. So the name of this table, let's call this New Hire Survey. So that's going to be the table that houses all of the information. And if we want, as we're building the table, we do have the option to enable attachments. We're going to use this in a different table, so we're not going to really be attaching anything to this table. But as we go to build out our other tables for the onboarding process, like the new hire packet, we want to be able to upload that into Dataverse as an attachment. And so we would check that in a different table. But for this new hire survey, we're just going to leave that option unchecked. The only thing that we really have to do here is create a primary column. So a primary column could be one of two things. It can either be a text column or it can be an auto number. And so for this particular table, we're just going to have it be an auto number. And so we have to do a couple things first. So the first thing is I'm going to call this survey number. And it's going to start off as a text column, but we're going to change that later on. If you look under the advanced options here, you're going to notice that it has created this schema name. Remember when we created our solution, we created a publisher and we talked about how to create a publisher for yourself. And the publisher that I created used my initials as a prefix. Well, the benefit of this is if you have columns or tables in different environments with the same name, this prefix is going to allow you to migrate into that particular environment without having any clashing or problems bringing it in. So this is what that prefix is for, just to identify it that it is my personal solution and my personal table as well. So we're going to go ahead and save this table. Now Dataverse is going to do a lot for us. So that's why a lot of people like to use Dataverse, is because as we create this table, there's going to be a lot of options that we can choose from as far as columns go. And so we can see right here that we have our survey number, we have our new hire survey. And so we're going to build this table out. Remember that when you're building a table out in Dataverse, that you also have to make sure that you put those columns in the forms and views, or you're not going to be able to see them. So first things first is we're going to go underneath our columns, underneath schema right here, and let's go take a look at our columns. Now, as you see, there are a lot more columns than we created. We only created the primary column, which is down here, which is the survey number. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the survey number. But you're going to see a lot of columns already created for you. And this is Dataverse's way of helping you out. So you have the ability to use all of these columns if you want to. You don't have to, but they are available to you if you decide to use them. Notice that also the name right here, the JAH, so that is our prefix for our publisher, so that way we can quickly identify which ones that we have created as well. Notice that currently it is a single line of text here, so it starts off as a text column, but the primary column can either be a text or an auto number. And so we're going to change this to an auto number so that it automatically increments to count the number of surveys. So I'm going to click the ellipsis here, and I'm going to choose edit. So this is where we're going to go change the data type. So here within inside of this column, this is the only time that you can modify these columns. Once you create a column with a specific data type, it is locked in place. You're not going to be able to change the data type. This is only for the primary column that you can modify it from a text to an auto number. So once we create the following columns, they are set as their data type. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change this to a auto number. And down at the bottom, you're going to see the seed value. So this is the value that it starts at. So you can see down here in our preview that it starts at 1,000. But we can also change this so that it starts at 1. So if I want it to start at 1, I just put a 1 there, and you can see the preview has the 1, 2, 3. You can also put a prefix if you want to as well. So if I wanted a SUR for survey, I could put that as well. But we're going to keep it pretty simple here and just go with the number without the prefix in front of it. And we are going to have the option to make this either business required or optional, but we're going to set this in our Power App to automatically be created. So we're not going to have to worry about entering this information. So it's going to automatically do that for us. And so we're just going to leave that as is. So we're going to go ahead and click Save now. And you'll see that it changes this survey number from a single line of text data type. It is now an auto number. Okay, so that's what we want here. We want that to be an auto number. And so I can either create a new column from this screen directly. So here at the top, we can create a new column. And so that's what we're going to go ahead and do. You can also create a new column from the previous screen as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click a new column. So the next column that I want is what department, so for my new hire survey, what department were they hired for? And so this column is going to be called department. And the data type here is I want them to choose between several different options. And so I'm going to change the data type to a choice. Now, with a choice, you have the option to choose yes or no, or you can create your own choices. And so that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to create our own choices to choose the department. Okay, so I'm going to go to choice and choose the choice option. All right, so here at our behavior, we have the option to choose a simple or calculated behavior. We're going to make sure this stays on simple. It is defaulted to that, but once again, you have the option to change it. We'll talk about calculated columns a little bit later on in our series. Required, we're going to make this business required, so they have to choose what department they are or that they applied for and that were hired on to. So down here at the bottom is what we're going to use. Okay, so we're going to create a new choice down here at the bottom. So we're going to click on new choice. And the choice is going to be the department. And so the first department that we're going to choose is finance. And the next is going to be sales. And the final one's going to be customer service. And notice that it also associates a value to it as well. So this is its way of creating a value associated to these particular values to kind of keep track of it inside of Dataverse. So now that we've created our 3 departments, we're going to go ahead and click Save. Now, if you click the drop down arrow, you're also going to have an option to choose different choice types. So you can choose the day, an activity, but in this case, we're just going to use the choices that we created here. Department, so here's our department choice. Okay, so we have to choose the one that we created. Here's department, here's the 3 options that we have. So we want to choose that for our sync choice. All right, and so now it allows us to choose a default choice. So if the primary hiring is going to be for customer service, you can select customer service, or we can leave this as none. So it's up to you if you want to put a default choice on there. And we're going to go ahead and click Save. So now our new hire is going to be able to choose the department that they are associated with. And we can see here we also have our unique identifiers here. So we have our department, which is a choice, and we have our survey number. Notice they all have the prefix JAH identifying that we created them for this solution. So it just helps kind of keep track of everything. So we have our department column, which is a choice column. They can choose between the different departments. So let's go ahead and create a new column here. So the next column is going to be an onboarding value. So scale of 1 to 5 is what we're going to use here, but we'll put that in the Power App. So for our data type, we're simply going to make this a number. Okay. So for number, you have the option to choose what type of number it's going to be, and so that's going to be a whole number. So it's going to be on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being how did you find our onboarding process, 1 being not valuable, and 5 being extremely valuable. All right, so for our format, we have the option to choose, is this a duration, is it a language code, is it a time zone? We're going to leave this as none, as it is defaulted to. Behavior is going to be simple, and we're going to also make this required as well. So let's go ahead and save that. The next column that we're going to create, we're going to go up here to new column. And we're going to create a column for, did you receive the required information? So did you, prior to your first day, did you feel like you had received the necessary information, such as a schedule of the process? Okay, so we just want to find out if they received that information. And so that's also going to be a choice, but this time we're just going to use the yes, no option. So we're going to go down here to choice, and we're going to select yes, no. Once again, the behavior is going to be simple, and we're going to make this option required as well. Notice that no is labeled as a value of 0 in Dataverse, and yes is labeled as 1. So we have a default choice here. I'm going to default it to let's leave it defaulted to no, so that they have to choose yes, that they received all the required information. But you can change that if you want to. So we're going to go ahead and save that. All right, let's go ahead and create another column here. And this column is going to be the information that was presented. So the information that was presented to you, did you feel that it was not clear or extremely clear? Once again, this is going to be on a scale of 1 to 5 inside of our app. So we're going to go to number here, and we're going to select a whole number. We're going to leave the format as none, and we're just simply going to make this required. So all of these columns that we're creating, we're going to make required so that they have to fill it out inside of our application once we build it in the next video. We're going to go ahead and save. And we have 2 more columns here. So the next column is going to be the onboarding length. So how did you feel the onboarding length was? Do you feel like it should have been shorter? Should it have been longer? Or was it just about right? So this is going to be another choice column. So we're going to go down here to choice. And this time, once again, same as we did last time, we're going to create a new choice for us to use here. Okay, so we're going to go down here to new choice. And we're going to call this onboarding length. So did they feel that it should have been shorter, the onboarding process? Should it have been longer? Or was it just right? So that's our new choice that we just created. We're going to go ahead and save. Once again, the sync choice, we're going to select our onboarding process here. So I'm going to scroll down to our onboarding length. There's shorter, longer, or just right. So I'm going to go ahead and select that choice that we just created. And the default choice I'm going to leave as none. I'm going to allow them to choose what they want. And we're going to go ahead and click save. The last column that we're going to make for this onboarding table is going to be a comments column. So this is going to be any comments they want to leave about the process or about their instructor that was leading them through it. And so for text, we have single line of text, but if they're a little bit, if they want to write a little bit more than just a single line, we can give them that option by selecting text area. So this gives them more room to type in extra characters as well. So we're going to use a text area for the comments section. And for this one, we're going to actually leave it as optional. So we're not going to make this required. If they want to leave comments, they can, but they don't have to. So we're going to go ahead and click save. So now that we've created our columns, we have to remember, with a Dataverse, with model-driven applications, if we're going to be viewing this information in a model-driven application on the back end, then we have to add the columns to our forms and views. So here we just need to add it because we're going to be inputting this information through a Canvas app. We don't necessarily need to have the form set up, but if we want to see the information in a model-driven application, we need to make sure that we have the view set up to see all of the columns that we just created. And so we're going to go here to the views section. This is the last thing that we're going to do here today. So we're going to go to views. And we're going to go to our active new hire surveys. So this is the public view. It's the very first one. Notice that Dataverse is creating a lot of stuff for us. All right, and so here is our survey number. We also have a created on date as well. That's going to be good for tracking when they actually submitted the survey. If you look over on the left hand side under your table column section, if you click the drop down and choose custom, you can see all of the custom columns that we created, and it kind of eliminates all of the extra columns that Dataverse created, making it easier to drop this in. And so we can just drag and drop this into our view. So we have our department, our onboarding length, our onboarding value, our presented information, required information, and then our comments as well. So this now creates the view for us to see. So we'll be able to see all of the information within inside of our model-driven application that we're going to build on the back end to kind of track all of our data. And we're going to go ahead and click Save and Publish in the upper right-hand corner. So we're going to save that view here. And we're going to click the back button inside of the Power App screen, not the browser back button. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I know this was a little bit longer of a video, but it's important that we set it up properly and we understand the different pieces that are going to be playing a part in our Canvas app and our model-driven application as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content. I'll see you in the next one.